And I think sometimes we take that mentality into the online space and we think, well, if I create it, people will buy it. If I just make it, they'll stumble across it. So the idea that if I create it, people will buy it, I think is not accurate. Well, hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. This is Jennifer. I am delighted to have you here with me today. Thank you for listening, friend, for real. I really enjoy recording my podcast. And so I hope that you really enjoy listening. Oh, look at this. I have two pair of glasses sitting here. Two glasses. Which should I wear? Sassy red. More exotic gold. Yeah, we'll go gold. Yes, I'm in a sweatshirt, hair up in a messy something on the top of my head. I apologize for that. But this is all that I had in me today. And one of my goals for my business for the new year was that I just wanted to not dress to always just try to impress on social media. There are people that will get dressed up just for their trainings, just for their podcasts, and that's fine. But I really don't want to do that anymore, because so many of you relate to me as a person and me as a woman who runs a business. And I'm mom and wife first and business owner third. And I don't always have the capacity to get fancy schmancy. And so there's a lot of times I am working in my leggings, and a sweatshirt. And so I would rather set an example for you that you can just be the girl next door. You can just be dressed as you would normally. You can come as yourself and still be successful. You don't have to put on any other hats. You don't have to put on any other outfits. You don't have to try to look apart. You don't need to fake it until you make it. I hate that saying. It is unbiblical. But you can come as you are, still provide value, still provide a win, still provide things to the people around you that need it. So with that being said, got my hair up because the higher the hair, the closer to God. Have a sweatshirt on because I'm freezing in Kansas City. The fact that spring was supposed to be here and it kind of has lied to us is, I'm still mad about that. And we're going to go with it. And I love the topic today. We're going to talk today about the problem with selling things on Evergreen. Okay. So if you've never heard of the term evergreen, let me tell you what this means real quick. All right. So for those of you who are in business, which the majority of my listeners are, when people talk to me about, Jen, we want to sell something on Evergreen. I always have kind of, like in the old cartoons when it's like, warning, warning. I always have that in my brain. Because here's, I think why that statement can be problematic, or what they're thinking and their logic, why that can be a little bit flawed. But real quick. Okay. So what is Evergreen? Evergreen means that, okay, hang on. I should have just answered that. My son was calling because I had a question about recording this on YouTube and I should have just answered it. Should I just call him back literally on this podcast? Hold that thought. I'm calling him back and then you're really getting to see the behind the scenes for real. Hey, I literally am recording the podcast as we speak. And so they can hear you as we speak. Did those camera settings look okay?
I didn't even see your video yet. I'm just calling you.
You didn't even see my video yet, son. All right, go watch your mother's video and just tell me I'm smart. I love you. Okay, bye. You do not have to edit that out. Also, kids are part of real life running a business, right? If you're waiting until your house is totally calm, cool, and collected before you can record something, if you're going to write a book, record a podcast, record a course or something, you could be waiting a whole long time. I would rather that you just got it done and it wasn't perfect than continue to wait. Also, I didn't even have my podcast in front of my face. Okay, Evergreen. If you're going to sell something on Evergreen, it means this, that you're not actually launching it, that you're not actually having an open and a close date, that you have something for sale just all the time. Just all the time, anybody can buy your consulting package or your course or get into your membership group or what have you. That is what the term selling something on Evergreen is meaning. The pull, the sparkly object, thing about selling on Evergreen, I know it sounds super sexy, is because it sounds like, oh my gosh, I can make money while I sleep. I'll just have this thing running all the time in the background. There's no whole hoopla around launching. It's just going to be sitting on my website. People can buy it anytime they want, and I will make money without actively promoting it. And perhaps you will. Perhaps you will. But I can also tell you, you're not going to make the millions of dollars that you are hoping for. Okay. I can give you a great example. when I do like a push for my mastermind, when I am very intentional about trying to get people into my mastermind and we do some sort of a, 3-day thing, or I talk about it on social media. Sorry, I'm having to type, guys, because I just got logged out of my notes. Weird. And so that I can get a whole bunch of women to like join my mastermind when there is a very forward facing push. Okay. My mastermind is open in the background all the time. If you were to DM me right now and be like, Jennifer, I need help in my business. I need a breakthrough. How do I work with you? How do I do one-on-one with you? I'd be like, sign up for my mastermind. And you could do that. That happens so far and few between, as opposed to when we do an actual launch, we open it. And then we have like an end date of like a 3-day webinar or something. And then here is my mastermind. Go ahead and sign up. It'll be this price until Tuesday or whatever. Like then we get a whole bunch of people. But if it's just running in the background, very rarely. And so that is the problem with selling things on Evergreen, is that the hope is that, okay, I'm just going to be making money in the background. This thing's just going to be running. The problem is that you're not going to sell nearly as many as what you think. Okay. And I want to give you some of the reasons why. So sometimes the mentality is this, like, remember that movie, The Field of Dreams? Isn't that the movie where they're like, is this heaven? Dad, is this heaven? And he's like, no, son, this is Iowa. I'm pretty sure that's the line because I, was born and raised in Iowa. So I always love that part. But remember in that movie, Field of Dreams, where they talk about if you build it, they will come. And I think sometimes we take that mentality into the online space and we think, well, if I create it, people will buy it. If I just make it, they'll stumble across it. If I get an ebook of gluten-free recipes for sale on Amazon, people will find it. And perhaps, hopefully they will, right? But the truth of the matter is that doesn't happen nearly to the degree that I think some people think that it does. Okay, so I want you to remember, like if you'll think back to the internet, let's say 10 to 15 years ago, when there were a fraction of the number of people on social media that there are now, when not everybody had a Facebook business page, when there weren't as many influencers on Instagram, et cetera. Like when that was the case, I think it was probably easier for people to discover your course for sale because 9 million people didn't already have a life coaching course. I think that years and years ago, it was easier for people to find your DIY, paid group because hardly anybody had them then. But now, like, there's so many more people, there's so much more noise, there's so many more people doing it. So I think 10 to 15 years ago, it was easier for someone to stumble across something, for you to sell something in email, for you to, get like in front of somebody, a new audience that maybe hadn't previously been in front of. But today it's just different. Today it's just different. So the idea that if I create it, people will buy it, I think is not accurate. I also think the days of people just stumbling across your content are gone for the most part. And I mean, think about like, how often do you stumble across somebody new, even on social media, that you just want to follow, right? And not, I mean, I don't do that daily. Do you find new people daily? I find a couple people a week, new people probably that I want to follow. But following is easy to do. Putting a debit card down with somebody whose content I've never seen before, much, much harder. Much, much harder. The other day I was using an example with one of our mastermind ladies, and I was saying, because they were talking about wanting to do something evergreen, which I'm not opposed to. But I'm going to tell you how you're going to have to do it here in a second. But I was telling her, like, remember how Pamela Anderson, why do I remember weird information, by the way? But Pamela Anderson originally got discovered, if you will, for like modeling by somebody showing her on a Jumbotron at a like professional baseball game or something. In fact, let me just Google this while I'm talking to you, okay? Hang on, Pamela Anderson. Turns out I can't type when you guys are watching me on YouTube. Okay. Her modeling career happened by chance. Pamela Anderson was attending a Canadian Football League game and wearing a cutoff Labatt beer t-shirt. Is that how I say it? Labatt, I bet. When a camera operator scanned the crowd, focused on her, projecting her image onto the video board, the resulting attention led the beer company to hire her as a model in 1989. Okay. So she literally just got discovered. She was age 22, by the way. Not 52 like me, but 22. Okay. So I think sometimes we have this thought that like people will just like discover my content. They'll just find my real estate course. They'll happen to come across my course on helping, families transition out of public school into private. They're going to find the group that I have about, watercolor painting or whatever. And it just doesn't happen that way anymore. The days of discovery, like Pamela Anderson, are way gone. Okay. So I want you to know that. I will also say this, that it is a different day. Consumers are so much savvier than what they were even just 2 to 3 years ago. So where I used to be able to just put up one of my programs for sale and we would have hundreds of people sign up, those days are long gone. Now we have to like ease them into it. We have to give them something for free. It's like giving away a free appetizer and then hope that somebody will buy the meal, right? Like there's so much more finessing. There's so much more courting that has to happen anymore. That for someone just to go straight from zero with you to buying your program, zero to signing up for your group, like that is a harder path than what it was years ago. More than ever before, people want something from you first, a sampling, a freebie, an opt-in, a webinar, a masterclass, a something before they sign up for a course or program or coaching or whatever. I'm not talking about products right now. I'm talking about more like programs, courses, paid groups, etc. Okay. So if you're going to sell something on Evergreen, which again, you can, but you're still going to have to be intentional about putting that thing in front of people if you're wanting it to sell. Okay. So here are some ways that you can do that. Number one, you can like, let's say you have a, I'm just thinking through. I've got one of the ladies that's in my mastermind. She helps people with Facebook ads. So she is writing a course on that. So let's just say Rebecca's Facebook ad course. She would need to put that in the bio of her Instagram. She would need to put that at the post that's pinned to the top of her Facebook page all the time. Okay. So it needs to go in your bio. It needs to go like in the places, that if you're on TikTok and you've got enough followers, put it on your TikTok bio. But that needs to be the link. If you're wanting people to buy it, you're going to need to use that link on your different socials. Another way of getting it in front of people is have other people promote it. So, you could use affiliates. You could, pay people a commission to put your product in front of others, to promote it on their stories. You've got it for sale all the time, but you have a couple like micro influencers who do some stories on it, and then they get a commission from it. And that's how you're still getting sales, like on Evergreen, if you will. Like when I used to do sponsorships and be an affiliate for several like boutiques. There was a small clothing boutique I used to do things for when I was an affiliate for Stitch Fix. Like if you have some other people who have an audience promoting your course, your group, your consulting or whatever, then you can still be getting sales all the time. All right. Also, if you've got an email list, promoting it inside of your email list on occasion. You can even down at the footer of your email have a link to it all the time, so that every time you send your list an email, there is still a link to go buy whatever you've got currently for sale on Evergreen. That's an option. And then also I would consider running ads to it. Because it can be selling then like in the background via Facebook ads, Instagram ads. And you're not having to do stories and talking about it. You're not having to like clutter up your feed and talk about it. You're not having to do a ton of pushes on email talking about it. And by the way, if you're not using email in the year 2024 for your business, I can't even. Like you've got to send me a DM immediately and tell me why. Like I got to know, because I have harped on this and harped on this and harped on this. You have to have an email list in 2024. You have to. Like there's no, kind of if you want. Nope. You need a business Facebook page. You need an Instagram or another social media of some sort other than just Facebook devoted to your business. And you've got to have an email list. You have to have those things. If you don't know how to start an email list and you'd like my team to do it for you, we've got people at Biz Assist that can do that. Reach out to bizassistagency.com. That's B-I-Z assistagency.com. Didn't mean to mention that, but I would be doing you guys a disservice if I didn't give you that option. And my team can get it set up for you, but you have to be using email. And so then you can be selling things on Evergreen in that way as well. So I hope that this didn't totally discourage you from trying to sell things on Evergreen, but I'm going to tell you that if you're needing like an influx of cash, you don't have something for sale all the time. You have an open and you have a close. Evergreen is not going to get you an influx of cash. You're trying to take a summer vacation this year. Don't put something on Evergreen. Have an actual launch. Have an actual open date. Like have a courting period where you're telling them all about how this thing's going to be for sale. And then you put it up for sale. And then 5 to 7 days later, you close the cart. That's the opposite of Evergreen. And that's going to get you an influx of cash. Evergreen is not. Evergreen's running in the background. And hopefully you'll be making a few sales, but you're still going to have to be intentional about it. So I just wanted to like set really healthy expectations for you guys. The idea that you can have, you know, all this revenue that is just like for no effort. Why am I losing my words? You know what I'm talking about? Recurring revenue, or, you know, the kind you don't have to work for. I mean, it sounds great in theory, but there's so few ways of that actually happening. There's so few ways of that actually happening. So you're still going to have to be intentional. I just want to make sure your expectations are accurate for the current climate online, and so that you can know going into things what to expect. So I hope that this was helpful. If you're watching me on YouTube, will you just say hi down in the comments below? Because when you do that, then the content gets shown to other people. It's the same way if I'm doing, you know, a social media post about it. If you're not watching on YouTube, but you're listening wherever you listen to podcasts, go ahead and drop me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to know that you enjoyed this and if it landed for you. So, all right, my friends, so glad you're here. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Why can't I think of words? This is what happens when you get older. And you just lose the words. Just lose them right out of your brain.